Live from the Business RadioX studio inside Renaissance Bank, the bank that specializes in understanding you. It's time for North Fulton Business Radio.
And hello again, everyone. Welcome to another edition of North Fulton Business Radio. I'm John Ray, and folks, we are broadcasting from inside Renaissance Bank in beautiful Alpharetta. And if you are tired of the big bank experience, and you know what I'm talking about if you're at one of those big banks, no personal service, you can't get a live person on the phone, well, I've got a suggestion for you. Renaissance Bank, it's been my experience with the clients that I work with that Renaissance is big enough to handle pretty much any need you can throw at them as a small business, but they're small enough to do it in a personal way. If that's what you're looking for your business, then I suggest you go to renaissancebank.com and find one of their local offices and give them a call. And I think you'll be glad you did. Renaissance Bank, understanding you, member FDIC. And now I want to welcome Dr. Everett Bannister. He is the hospital director, he's the veterinarian, and he's the owner of Family Tree Animal Clinic. Dr. Bannister, welcome.
Well, thank you. I appreciate it, John. Thank you for having me here today.
Absolutely. It's a pleasure to have you. Let's talk about you and the work you're doing at Family Tree Animal Clinic.
Yes, well, Family Tree Animal Clinic is based in Milton, and we've been in business for about 4 years now. So it's just been an awesome experience being in the Milton community. We're a small animal veterinary hospital, so just treating cats and dogs. And we specialize on high touch patient and client experiences and just gold standard care. And our motto is together on the journey of care, which we just want to partner with pet owners.
Terrific. So obviously in Milton, horses are a big deal. So let's get that out of the way. Small animals does not mean horses, right?
No, we don't have any ponies.
Right. Okay. Why Milton? Why did you open in Milton?
Yes. Well, I used to work in Woodstock. I was a vet in Woodstock probably about 10 to 15 years ago. And just passing through Milton and just seeing that it's a wonderful city. And then being in the city, based in the city currently, based on where I was working after Woodstock, had a lot of colleagues that were moving up to Milton, actually had a lot of actual pet owners moving up to Milton. And then the fact that Milton is just from a city and a city standpoint is recognized as a great city locally, state, and nationally. So it's just a great place to live. And I wanted to start a business there and then gradually move myself to Milton.
I love it. Milton does advertise itself well, doesn't it?
Very much so, yes.
It showcase itself well.
It does. And when you drive through it, you know why.
Yeah, absolutely. Let's talk a little bit about you and your backstory and your inspiration for veterinary medicine. Yeah. Were you trying to fix dogs and cats when you were young man, or?
Yes, I did have a lot of pets growing up. And I guess it's really cliche.
Yeah.
I've been practicing probably for about 15 years now. But I would say that it all started with an unfortunate experience as a kid and having a pet and going to a vet hospital and my pet experiencing discomfort and pain and not necessarily being able to have the answer or know why that's occurring. And so at that point, I was probably around 10 years of age. And I think that started me on a trajectory of wanting to become a veterinarian. I was always good at math, and I just loved the biology of just the world in general. And so with that and the love for animals, just combining it helped me know what I wanted to do for the rest of my life.
Yeah, that's awesome. And talk about what's involved in becoming a veterinarian these days. I mean, it's a pretty rigorous path you choose.
Yeah, yes, it is. A lot of people don't realize that you go to school for about 8 to 10 years just to become a veterinarian. And so I started off in Florida at Stetson University, and I received my bachelor's degree there. And then that took about 4 years. And then from there, I went to the West Indies for about 2 or 3 years. Mm-hmm. And then from the West Indies, I came to the University of Georgia, and that's where I did my clinical service, mm-hmm. or rotation, I should say, and then graduated. But it could take about 8 to 10 years. And I think the hardest part is you're studying multiple species. Mm. So it's not, in the human aspect of it, it's just you're studying humans. But, right. You have to large animal, equine, small animal, pocket pets. All of those are different forms of study in vet school. And when I was leaving, they actually started to track. And what that meant is you focused on a specific area going through school. Mm-hmm. And so my track was small animal instead of like equine or large animal. So Gotcha. There's not a lot of mixed vets mm-hmm. as much as it used to be.
Gotcha. And you, and your passion for small animals came early on, as you mentioned.
Yes, sir. Yes, it did.
Gotcha. So you worked in another practice before you started your own?
Yes, actually 2 practices. So mm-hmm. I started off in Woodstock, and mm-hmm. then I was there for about 5 years or so. And then I moved to the Emory area, CDC mm-hmm.
location.
And then I was there for about 6 or 7 years, and I was actually a partner. It was a 16-doctor practice. So it was a pretty large practice. Mm-hmm. And then we sold to a larger practice, and I wasn't ready to retire. My fire for veterinary medicine was still burning. Mm-hmm. And so I had to, reflect and decide on what the next steps were going to be with my career. And so looking into Milton and continuing that path of wanting to become an entrepreneur, and I had that opportunity.
That's awesome. And what's involved in you decide you want to open up a veterinary practice? That's a lot of work.
Yeah, I think starting up any small business is a lot of work.
Sure,
but you are wearing a lot of hats.
Right.
The beauty of being in the profession for about 10 years prior to, I, in a sense, was comfortable with practicing veterinary medicine. So mm-hmm. I was able to wear that hat without having to think so much about it. It came more with the business side of it. And I've always loved the business side of veterinary medicine. I'm actually also a certified veterinary practice manager, which that's a 3-year certification process with schooling and testing and things of that nature. And that helped prepare me with the love of just wanting to be an entrepreneur on how to start the business. But you have different ways. You can go into a shopping center. You can purchase from a veterinarian that might be retiring, or mm-hmm. you can go the route of building from the ground up, which was the route that I took.
Yeah, that makes sense. So you had all this experience, these years of experience with 2 different practices. You saw things that you liked, things that you didn't like, and you bring all that to your practice. Talk about some of those things on both sides.
Yes. Well, as far as Family Tree is concerned, the things that I wanted to bring to Family Tree was to have a high touch patient and client experience. And also I wanted to make the process more efficient. Generally, when families go into vet hospitals, they're greeted in the lobby, and they may have to take a seat, and they have to wait for a technician to come and bring them into a room. And then from there, the technician or the assistant will ask questions. And then the doctor will come in, and they might ask some questions. And then they'll do their physical exam, have a conversation with the pet owner. And then the technician will come back in, follow up with the pet owner. And then at the end of that, they'll go back out to the lobby, and they'll wait to process out. I find that making that process more efficient in a way where as soon as a client comes in the Family Tree, they're brought into an examination room. And then from there, me and a technician and I come into the exam room, and I'm there for that whole process mm-hmm. where I'm getting the history. I'm doing my full nose to tail evaluation in the examination room. I'm going over all of my findings. I'm going over the next step in the treatment plan. And then also, because the technician is in there with me, everybody's on the same page. And then once it's time to finish up in the examination room, we also check out or process out in the examination room. So once the pet owner is there, you have that quiet experience, you have that privacy, you're able to ask all of the questions that you would like to ask with the doctor and not having to go between the technician and the doctor. And then when it's time to check out, you don't have that bottleneck at the end of the appointment where you have to be outside waiting for someone else to who may not understand or know what actually happened in the examination room,
right,
to help you with the checkout process.
Right. And you're stuck in there with the folks that are coming in and yeah, it's a jam out there, right?
Yes,
or can be.
Exactly. So we're trying to eliminate that and just make it much more personable and make sure that the pet owners are getting all of the questions that they want answered.
Okay. Gotcha. What, when you say small animal, I mean, we know dogs, cats, anything else on that list?
Yes. No, unfortunately.
Okay.
Only cats and dogs. When you start to get into reptiles and pocket pets and ferrets and rabbits, I have colleagues that I can refer for that. But as far as my specialty, my expertise, I would say is cats and dogs.
Gotcha. Okay. So my wife's pet snake's not coming. That's a joke because she detests snakes, but, she'll kill me for saying that. Talk about what you see with pet owners and maybe the mistakes they make. They love their pets, right?
Of course.
But
yes.
The biggest mistakes that you see dog owners and cat owners making with their pets.
Sure. I think with having the internet nowadays, I think that can be a gift and it can be a curse. You know, in veterinary medicine, I always say nothing follows the book. And even though you might be seeing symptoms, we call them clinical signs, but even though you're seeing symptoms, it's hard to put all of the pieces of the puzzle together when you don't have an understanding of how the puzzle should look in its entirety. And I find like even with me, if there's something that comes up, I Google it. And we call it Dr. Google.
Yeah, right.
But you Google that. And I think it is important to stay informed, but it's also important to have an open conversation and a discussion with your veterinarian about the things that you've found and the things that you're concerned with, but also understand, you know, we've gone to school for 10 years just to focus on this specific topic. And so it's important to have that open line of communication. Don't come in with a predetermined idea of, hey, it should be this or it should be that. In vet medicine, you know, we always say when something's coming around the corner and you hear gallops, you think of horses, especially in Milton. You don't think of zebras. But a lot of times when you're on the internet, you're getting the horses and the zebras as far as what could be going on. And so I think that that's one of the, not only issue, but one of those things where people are getting educated. But I think working with the professional and having that open line of communication is important. Yeah.
Yeah, that makes a lot of sense. And sometimes it's just the immediacy of the information that people are drawn to, and you have a tendency to believe the first thing you see, and that's not always the best thing.
Correct. Marketing. Yes. That's, you know, and you don't even know who's providing that information to you.
Yeah. Folks, we're here chatting with Dr. Everett Bannister, and he is the owner, hospital director, and veterinarian at Family Tree Animal Clinic in Milton. So, Dr. Bannister, let's talk a little bit about dogs specifically. So, what's the favorite dog in Milton? Let's what do you see?
Yeah. I would probably say French bulldogs, Labradoodles. And then you'll have some, I wouldn't consider them one-offs, but you'll have Wieslas, you'll have German Shepherds. But I think the French Bulldogs and the Labradoodles are pretty popular.
Now, why are they popular these days?
Well, I think the Labradoodle just is a great hybrid as far as you don't have shedding. And so pet owners that may be allergic to pets, that helps because of their fur. And they're an ideal size. They're not too big. They're not too small. And they interact with the family very well. But if you have smaller children, you don't have to worry about them playing with them too hard. So I would probably say that's why Labradoodles are pretty popular.
And French Bulldogs.
They're just so cute.
Yeah, they are.
They're just so cute and full of energy, and they just want to be loved. And I think that's the main reason with them. And they have a cute face and just snuggle on them. So I would say that is primarily the reason. They always want to be the center of attention. They love being in a room, and they love being loved on.
Yeah, for sure. What do you recommend for someone that's looking to get a dog? What do you recommend that they look for as they assess the health and well-being of that pet? Sure.
Well, first, there is AKC, I believe, has a section on their website where it talks specifically, and it has an algorithm where you can just pick different aspects of your lifestyle, and then they can fit the pet to your lifestyle. So I do try to direct pet owners to that website because it's just a great, easy to use website. But also, if you are getting a pet, it is important to just have a conversation with a vet hospital and say, hey, I'm looking to get this type of pet, and this is the type of environment that I live in. This is the type of lifestyle. I'm active, or I'm somewhat sedentary, just whatever your environment is made of. And then just have that open communication with the vet hospital to see what might be a great fit. I think a lot of times we see pets on TV who are highly trained pets on TV, and they seem very relaxed and comfortable. And then when you get that pet, they're very excited, and you're like, well, that's not the same pet that was on TV.
Right.
And so I think that is a misconception. But to answer your question, yes, I think following up, deciding on what you would like, but also have a list of questions and calling a vet hospital and finding out exactly what might be a great fit for you.
And how often should I bring my dog, and we'll get to cats in a second, cat lovers, but how often should I bring my dog in to just have a wellness check? Sure.
The recommendation is twice a year, ideally. Pets are aging 5 to 7 years to R1. And a lot of times there are little nuances that you just may not be able to detect. Most pet owners can detect, vomiting, obviously diarrhea, or sometimes if there's a growth. But there's just changes in skin color. You may not be able to look deep down into the ears like we can. You may not be able to look into the oral cavity or the mouth. And so there's just different things that we can pick up on because we're consistently seeing normal aspects of pets. But the recommendation is twice a year. And at that point, they may not be receiving vaccines, but you can get their feces checked for intestinal parasites. You can have their lab work checked to make sure they're doing well internally as far as their kidney values, their liver values, red blood cells, white blood cells, so we can be proactive on any disease processes that may occur.
Yeah, that makes perfect sense. Now, let's talk about cats.
Sure.
And what you see there, and same question as it relates to cats. How often should cat owners bring their cat in to be checked out?
I would say the same, twice a year. Cats are very stoic. Believe it or not, research has shown more families have more cats than they have dogs, but generally more dogs come to the vet than cats do. And because cats tend to be much more stoic, you're a little bit behind the 8 ball on a disease process by the time it does occur. But the same rule would apply. I would say generally twice a year.
And do cats age the same way? You mentioned dogs are 5 to 7 years for relative to human year. What is it for cats?
Yeah, I would say it's pretty much the same with cats as well.
And what are the popular cats that you see? I mean, those breeds.
Yeah, I don't see any real exotic kitty cats.
Okay.
Most of it is just domestic short hair, medium hair, or long hair.
Yeah.
But you'll get the Himalayans, in every once in a while, or you'll get the Sphinx cats, the ones that don't have hair on them still, which they're sweet. Actually, they're really interesting to interact with, but and love on. But I would say just the basic tabbies.
Yeah, I love it. So let's talk about what you've learned in this 3-year journey you've been on, and where you are, I guess, relative to where you thought you'd be at this time.
Yeah. Well, once again, Milton has just been a great community and has been very supportive. So I've everything that I've expected, I feel like I'm experiencing there. The main goal for me would be to add another doctor or two, just to provide just a more diverse service to pet owners, as far as doctors that may focus on exotics, or doctors that may focus, pocket pets, things of that nature. And so from what I've learned, I've just learned, and we're coming out of interesting times, and that is, having those ebbs and flows. So I would say my vision when I first started 4 years ago obviously has changed somewhat just based on the environment, but we're definitely continuing to move in that direction and trajectory that I've expected. And so just being welcomed by the Milton community was expected and is going great. Just the clientele that I'm experiencing, the pets that I'm experiencing, working with, I find that all of it is going down the path that I want it to.
That's great. So so it could be that I can't bring my albino parakeet now, but maybe in the future.
Yes, definitely. That would be a goal of mine.
Yeah, that's terrific.
I'll just stop by and say hi. I won't, I'll stop in the room, say hi, John, but that'll be the most that you'll see of me at that time.
Well, and you won't actually see me with my albino parakeet because I don't have one. But well, that's a great goal to have, and we'll let you come back and tell us about that when you've got that service. But talk about your location. Let's get specific on that, and your hours.
Sure.
Yeah.
So I'm located about a mile north of Milton High School, the Crabapple area. I'm on the specific address is 13900 Birmingham Highway, and I am located on the roundabout going north of Birmingham Highway from the Crabapple area.
Real easy to find if you know the Milton area. And your hours. Yes,
and so my hours, I'm open Monday, Wednesday, and Friday from 8 to 6. And on Tuesday and Thursday, I'm open from 8 to 1. And then I'm open every other Saturday.
Gotcha.
From 9 to 1.
Okay. And folks that are new patients, how do they handle that and making appointments and all that kind of thing? And how do you take in new patients? Sure.
Well, we try to make it as easy as possible. So you can call and say, hey, I would like to be a new patient there. And we will gather all of your information. But we also have an online form as well where you can reach us via online on our website. We also have social media as well that you can reach us on to schedule appointments and to let us know that you would like for us to give you a call back to schedule an appointment for new pet owners. But we always love having new clients, new pets coming in.
That's great. Dr. Everett Bannister, folks, and he is the Chief Veterinarian, Hospital Director, and owner of Family Tree Animal Clinic in Milton. Dr. Bannister, this has been a lot of fun and refreshingly great. It's great to have you here. Let's talk a little. Let's give directions, I should say, for those that want to be in touch and learn more and maybe make that appointment. How can they do that?
Sure. Well, you can always give us a call. Our phone number is 770-450-8880. You can find us online at familytreeac.com. We're also on Facebook at Family Tree Animal Clinic. We're also on Instagram as well at Family Tree Animal Clinic. And we're also on Twitter as well. So we're trying to hit as many social media avenues as we can.
I love it. Dr. Everett Bannister, folks, Family Tree Animal Clinic. This has been awesome. Thank you so much for coming in.
Thank you, John. I really appreciate you having me, and I appreciate all that you do. Thank you. It's been a joy.
Thank you. Hey, folks, just a quick idea for you. If you're looking for a different experience for your team building activity, one that does not involve broken ankles and skinned up knees, and you know what I'm talking about. Well, I've got an idea for you. It's ANS Culinary Concepts. Yes, they are an award-winning culinary studio, and they have Big Green Egg boot camps, which are great, by the way. But they also do corporate team building in that beautiful studio they have in the Johns Creek area. You stand around a stainless steel table and season meat and cut up vegetables and cook together, and then enjoy what you have done together. And what a great way to bring that team together. Give Executive Chef Andrew Traub a call, 678-336-9196, or go to asculinaryconcepts.com to learn more. And if you call Andrew, tell him that we sent you. And folks, just a quick reminder that North Fulton Business Radio is on all the major podcast apps. You can find us by searching North Fulton Business Radio, and you'll find us. If you haven't already subscribed to the show, we would be honored if you would do that. What we particularly would like you to do is, if you have heard something here from Dr. Bannister or any of our great guests that we have had on the show, please share the show. At Business RadioX, we're all about celebrating the great work of business leaders like Dr. Bannister and the other great entrepreneurs and business leaders and executives that we've had on the show. So please share the show and help us celebrate and bring a spotlight to the great work that they do. So for my guest, Dr. Everett Bannister, I'm John Ray. Join us next time here on North Fulton Business Radio.